Hello, everyone. Today we are playing Ruby Storm in Modern, and not just any version of Ruby Storm. We're playing a version of Ruby Storm that has both Preordain and Into the Flood Maw as a blue splash, and Veil of Summer as a green splash. So this is like Timur or Rug Ruby Storm. Now, I think Preordain is a good card for this deck. It's something that gives you increased consistency. You can use it before your combo for setting up. You can use it during your combo turn to combo. That's something that a lot of other competitors in this type of slot can't really be used for. I mean, people sometimes are playing more Strike It Rich. Glimpse is a little bit of an older style. There's maybe going a little bit higher on lands or more Valakut Awakening or something like that. But I think a lot of those options can potentially run into consistency issues, right? So you might say, well, how is the deck with like 8 impulse effects or whatever not consistent? But you really do not have much card selection without Preordain. And if you don't have that much card selection in your spell-based combo deck, I think you're going to find that, you're missing or sort of fizzling in situations where you wouldn't if you were just a couple cards away, you didn't quite have enough business, you never found a reducer, right? And Preordain just makes all those games feel a little bit better. In my experience with what I've played of Ruby, I feel like the version without Preordains is just not that consistent. Maybe it's anecdotal. I don't like log my matches or anything like that, but that's the vibe that I've gotten. So I'm interested in Preordain as a way to potentially fix that. Now, Veil in the sideboard for counter spell based decks, Flood Maw for the permanents, and really all we're doing in sideboarding is either we're bringing in 4 Flood Maw or we're bringing in 4 Veil, or potentially the 4 Veil and a couple Flood Maw, depending on the decks. The red stuff in the middle is basically there's a wish board as well as the Thassa's Oracle. The Thassa's Oracle lets you beat a 1 ring. So let's get into a league. Let's test some of this out, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, we are here in round number 1, and we are greeted with a hand that I think is decent. We have a Preordain. We have 2 lands. I'm going to keep this. We do need to find a reducer, but when we do, we have a little bit of mana and a little bit of business, so that's a good mix. So I'm just going to play Scalding Tarn and pass. I don't know if you guys can hear it through the mic, but it is currently storming outside my house right now, so maybe that is a good omen. Opponent leads on Island Go, which could be a little bit scary, but I mean, there's not going to be that many 1-mana counter spells. There could be like a Spell Snare. That would be the worst option. I am going to need a 3rd land. I am going to keep this. Yeah, Spell Snare would be the worst option, definitely. Well, not for this turn because we don't have the 2 cost, or like the cost reducer, but it would be the worst for, an eventual reducer. I'm going to bottom both of these. We do just need to find a reducer. Then we're going to play the Valakut Stoneforge. Betraying that we are playing Ruby Storm, probably. And Preordain is, again, a little bit weird for Ruby, so we'll see. They go for a Hedron Crab, so our opponent is playing Mill. They're going to mill us a little bit more. They hit a Past in Flames, which is good as long as they don't have a Surgical Extraction. So this matchup, I feel like, is very polarized around whether they have Surgical Extraction. If they don't have Surgical Extraction, matchup is great. If they do have Surgical Extraction, matchup is terrible. We can't win this turn, although we do get to try to draw something with Metamorphose, which I think we will do. I'm going to play Shatter Skull, and I'm going to pay 3 life. And then I'm going to Metamorphose. And we'll go red, because we already have the blue if we draw something relevant to that. Okay, so nothing. So we're going to go for Reckless Impulse. We do find a Dork, so for next turn we have our Dork. We're just going to pass, and we're going to hope that we don't die to a Surgical. They didn't have one so far, though, and I think they would certainly Surgical Past in Flames if they had it. So maybe this is just like land, and then Fractured Sanity, or I'd even accept Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which can sometimes be bad, but in this case we kind of have all of our pieces already. Field of Ruin is fine. They field me, I'm pretty happy about that. Tasha's, okay. That takes 13 cards. Nothing critical. One nice thing is we do have a little bit of a higher curve than some combo decks, because we are, and you might hear that, it is really storming. So if my power cuts out, that would be a little bit bad, because then I'd probably lose this recording. But if it does cut out, you'll never see any of this. So we're playing Ral. Yeah, playing Ral. And we can go Desperate Ritual. Unfortunately, I can't cast Splice because that's 4 mana, and I only had 2 mana there. Would have liked to have been able to go for it if possible. So we're not going to flip Ral. We're just going to leave him on his creature side. Now I could Ren's Resolve. I could also just Ritual again. Ritual again takes me up to 6 mana. So I can be at 5 mana, Past in Flames, and then do things out of the yard. So I think Ren's Resolving first is totally fine. Lose the flip. We hit junk. We're going to go for Desperate. Won the flip. We would not like the flip, though. Then we get to go for Past in Flames. That is spell, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Ral is 5. So we'll go Tails. We win the flip. Not like the flip yet. So 2 more spells, and then we'll be at 8. So we've got Desperate Ritual. Opponent still, I think, just doesn't have anything. So Tails, we win the flip. We would still not like the flip. And here, I'm going to go for Ren's Resolve, hold priority Desperate Ritual, hold priority Metamorphose. The reason I'm doing this is because this way I get as many discounts off as possible if I don't find another convenient access to a reducer using the Ral flip that I'm probably going to get from this, but maybe not. So here I'm going to make blue for a couple of these Preordains. And I'm going to still try to use... Oh wait, no, I don't have the red. Okay. Fails. Lost the flip. So this Desperate is going to resolve. I'm going to respond with this Desperate. Again, trying to make as much use of the reduction effects as I can before my Ral flips, although maybe he's never going to flip at this rate. That's crazy. I talked about that whole thing, assuming, yeah, he would surely flip during a chain of 4, but, you know, we hit the 12.5% off of that, so he did not flip. We hit a Metamorphose, which is alright. So I'm going to go for Strike It Rich, hold priority, Metamorphose, take another couple shots at finding, flipping, while sort of maximizing my, well, the Strike It Rich is not maximizing my mana. So really that doesn't matter. Go red, red. Tails. We lost the flip again? Unless did I click no? I think we lost the flip. How many Past in Flames do we still have? There's one in exile. So we should be hitting a Past in Flames any day now. Play one of these Preordains out of the yard. We have no other instance to respond with. Lost the flip. Alright. We're going to bottom both of these. Pick up Pyretic Ritual. So here I'm going to go Preordain, hold priority, Pyretic Ritual. Again, it doesn't really matter for saving on the Preordain, but tells you won the flip. I would like to flip. 16 loyalty counters on our Row. Lost the flip. 1 more damage. And then the Preordain is going to find us a Mana Morphos, which is not bad. So we can -8 the Row. We have a bunch of good cards here. Friends Resolve, sure. Got some Pyretic Rituals. Oh, we have to pay for that one. Alright, that's fine. That one's free. The Wish is free. No, it's not. I thought it was. And then the Reckless Impulses are free. We can do another Reckless Impulse, just why not? And we're going to just Grape Shot them. So we just sort of have a natural Grape Shot here. I'm going to cast the Past in Flames that we can cast without paying. Give everything flashback. Grape Shot down. So that is going to be the game. Alright, so we pick up game 1 against Mill. Like I said, this is a very polarized matchup. Either they have Surgical and we're toast, or they don't and we're pretty favored. And we don't really have a lot of answers to Grape Shot in our to Surgical in our list either. Which, I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. I mean, we're not really expecting to play against Mill that much. Mill's not something that I'm super worried about at the moment. So what do I want to do to try and fight that? I do want some sort of main deck win con. So I like the idea of bringing in at least the empty. Could consider bringing in either the Grape Shot or the Oracle. So they might wait to try and Surgical Wish is the thing, rather than just like Surgical Past in Flames. Could think about a Brotherhood's End to try to wipe some of the crabs. I think that's a little bit janky. Could cut a Glimpse maybe, or a Valakut Awakening. Nah, maybe that's okay. Flood Maw, I'm not really expecting like creature-based hate. Veil, I do expect counter magic out of them. So maybe we cut the Glimpses. Cut a Valakut Awakening. MT I think actually might be too slow. So then maybe I want to actually bring the Grape Shot in. And if we wish, we can potentially wish for Oracle. Like if we have to go for a wish line. And then what else are we cutting? Strike It Rich. I think the speed actually could be important here, so I will leave that. Maybe we cut a Past in Flames because they're reasonably likely to mill us over one. Even though I like the idea of keeping my mana count, or like my total mana value high. I think that all seems good. We need one more cut. Maybe it just is the Strike It Rich. No. Yeah, it's just the most sort of flex card, and we do just need the slot. I think it actually could be okay here, but I don't want to cut any of the other cards. Like, this is definitely a matchup where we do need some speed. This is a pretty good hand. So we have like turn 1, Thundering Falls, turn 2, probably play Ruby, depending on what they do, turn 3, try to win. If they just like hold up 2 mana on turn 2, then instead we can just like play Preordain and another Surveil land, and then try to win turn 3. They maul. Yeah, they maul. Okay. So what's their turn 1 looking like? Misty. Fetching. Watergrave. So they are blue-black, not the more recent blue-white mill that I think either won or got second in a challenge. So we're going to our turn, and a second Preordain is not exactly the best here, but it's not the worst. Growl. I think we will keep that, because we don't have a piece of, what's it called, an interactive, or a veil yet. So I think this means that I'm a little bit more willing to like just jam the ruby into open mana next turn, and if it gets countered, well then we got a card out of their hand, right? So I've got another crab, probably followed up by a fetch land for mill 12, yeah. Okay. So they've got some more mill. They do hit wish, which it'll be interesting to see if they go for that, if they have a surgical or an extirpate. Feels like they might, because they're kind of pausing here. They should probably wait for our draw step if that's what they're doing now. They're extirpating Growl. I think that's definitely a mistake. Yeah, I don't know about that. Wait, when did I use my fetch? Did I use it on my turn? Oh, yeah, because it was just a natural play the fetch. All right. So we have a another land. So here I'm going to fetch a Steam Vents. I'm just going to play the Ruby. I mean, maybe they have another land for more mill. Maybe they have another... ooh, they have Flare of Denial. That's interesting. I was not expecting that at all out of mill. That's standard? And they have Trap? Okay, sure. They have no other cards in their hand right now, though. So our yard is pretty juicy if we can get to enough mana to make use of this Past in Flames in our hand. Like, as in, we can probably do a bearless win. They're going to mill us a little bit more here. We do need to hit some lands off of these Preordains, is the thing. Or, I mean, any sort of mana, really. But, alright, smashing Morphos Veil, gone. It's our first Veil, really, which means the 3 of our bottom 16 cards are land or Veils, which is pretty bad. Okay, needs to be land. Or ritual. Ruby. Definitely don't need the Veil. Ruby's a little bit interesting. So if we keep the Ruby, how many lands total here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think there's about 4 lands left, if I counted that right. Oh, wait, no, the other are 15. I think like 3 lands left. Next turn, if I ritual, Ruby, ritual. Yeah, there's a world where I have either 2 mana. Yeah, Ruby, I think, is going to represent enough of a mana discount that I'm willing to keep it. So if I find either a land or a ritual here, or on my draw step, I'm okay. Okay, and this is fine. So I'm going to bottom the wish. I'll top the mountain. I'll put the mountain into play. And we need to fade 1 draw step here. So like land, crab would be the most innocuous. Land would be okay. Even fetch land is okay. Let's see what they get. They get a crab. Least scary thing they could draw. Now we just have it on log, I think. And this is what I mean, the thing is, even if they extirpated our wish there, we still did just have this because we have Grape Shot in our deck. So, I mean, yeah, they had the extirpate, but they didn't hit the Past in Flames, and now we're just okay in the face of that. So, Yeah, I mean, that was maybe another benefit to boarding out the Past in Flames. They kind of make the Wish not that appealing of a target. And then we can kind of just go from there. Now our whole graveyard has flashback, and we get to have a lovely time casting all of our spells out of our graveyard. Sure, some Desperate Rituals. Take all of the mana. Heretic Ritual. I'm just casting cards, because why not? Doesn't really matter at this point. Metamorphose, sure. Make blue. Play some of these Preordains. And they are scooping it up. So we have Wish and Grape Shot or whatever. All right, so we win the first round here against Mill. Not bad. Yeah, on to round number 2. Round number 2, we are on the draw with something that is a little bit of a sketch hand, but I think it's still okay. So this hand, we are able to get a Surveil land, so we're going to get 3 looks at finding our second land. So I definitely am just going to keep this. This is a hand which could backfire on us if we miss, then we're in a lot of trouble. We have mana, we have business, we have a reducer. So I feel pretty okay about our chances here. And we do already find the second land with this mountain. Now, the follow-up question is, do we go on turn 2 here? Because this is a hand that does have some turn 2 potential. Opponent goes for a tapped Undercity Sewers. It's going to depend on, what they surveil. They put something on the top, and then are they going to play, what are they going to play? Is it going to be hold up Bowmasters? It's going to be play Psychic Frogs. They're tapping out for a Psychic Frog. So I think I am actually pretty likely to go on turn 2 here, depending on what I surveil, but I don't like my chances against blue-black if I just wait, let them draw cards with Frog, and hold mana up. So I'm going to play the Thundering Balls. Valakut Awakening is, I think, not good enough. Get a little bit deeper in. Pick up a Steam Vents. Yeah, I think this just has to be trying to go for it here. We don't, again, I just don't want to untap, give them, free range to sort of hold up interaction, as well as Impulse. We have not really done that well off of some of our impulses. We're desperate for Ren's Resolve to see what I potentially want to do with this Morphos. Oh, this is really bad. I'm gonna hit red and blue. We do hit a Past in Flames, but we're just a little bit too late here. We've bricked. We have bricked. Oh, that's awful. We can cast the Past in Flames, but then we can't do anything off. Whoops. What happened there? It didn't let me choose X? It should have let me choose X's 1. That bugged? X, red, red. X should have been 2. I don't know what happened there. I was going to kill the frog. And instead I have no idea what happened. It's weird. Especially with them tapped out. I mean, yes, I know they could have discarded a bit, but you guys really might hear the storm. It's going. So hopefully, hopefully a good omen. All right. So how do we win this game from this point? So, all right. Sometimes you face a setback, and then your question needs to be, where does it go from here? So what the winning game looks like from this point is a game where we get to resolve this Past in Flames. So 100% of our game now needs to be based around resolving this Past in Flames. So I'm gonna play this Commercial District for the Surveil. I will graveyard that. Now we have a Past in Flames in our yard. We can Ren's Resolve. And the question is, are they going to counter this? They do. I'm totally okay with that. Now, they also might be thinking that we can't really get to that Past in Flames next turn so easily. We do just have land Past in Flames in our hand, so that's pretty nice. They're discarding a Subtlety. We'll see what else they have in their hand. Do they have anything relevant? Maybe. Maybe not. They're just continuing to smack us with the frog. Use the Preordain that they maybe just drew. Fetching. Wonder if this is... I mean, if they tap for like a clock, I'm pretty happy about that. Murktide? Oh, I'd be so happy with that. Alright, so they do tap for the Murktide. I think they're probably thinking that, like, okay, this kills us. Does this kill us next turn? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, they could just kill us next turn. And so they're thinking, okay, the Past in Flames is our yard. We have land for 4 mana. Then we're not going to be able to play anything. But little do they know, we have Past in Flames at home. By Past in Flames at home, I mean we have Past in Flames in our hand. So we'll get a mountain. And we'll go for Past in Flames. Now, they could have Force Negation, and that would, in fact, well, it wouldn't outright kill us, but it would effectively kill us here. So maybe they have Force Negation. Okay, so they have Force Negation. So now, well, we took 1 damage. 6, 7, 8, 9. We're dead. And, oh no, they played the land, though. I think that was a mistake. 9, 10, 11, 12? Oh no, they only have 1 because they Force Negation burned 2 cards. So now, okay, so they discard Drown in the Lock. Discard Fatal Push. So they have 0 cards left. They swing for 11. We actually maybe made a little bit of a mistake going for it off. Oh, they're pumping the Murktide. Never mind, we are just dead. Yeah, so we're just dead. Alright. They had the Force Negation. I mean, they had, what was our... I don't remember. We went for it. Oh yeah, we went for it and we just missed. We just hit far too many lands. Okay, so Veil is going to be the main thing we want here. Strike It Rich, this isn't really as much about speed as it is about resilience. Glimpse is sort of the easy cut. Valakut is probably a reasonable cut here. Flood Maw, not as convinced by. I could think about 1 main deck empty, but I think it's a little bit slow, honestly. So I think I'm just going to submit like this. Crazy that empty is slow, right? What does that say about where Modern has gotten to these days? Like, I think plenty of decks can actually just kind of race like a medium empty. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. We're just going to jam probably Ruby on turn 2. We have a little bit of business. Maybe we can make something happen with it. So Thundering Falls. And we will... Will we Graveyard Oral? Yes. Graveyarding Oral says that we have a lot of business, which I don't like actually giving our opponent that or a lot of reducers, which I don't like giving our opponent that information. But I think it's not worth like keeping a suboptimal card in order to not give our opponent information. Maybe they have Spell Snare here, but I'm just gonna boldly play into Spell Snare. I'm gonna get Stomping Grounds. Maybe we end up needing it for... Yeah, looking like Spell Snare. Oh, Spell Pierce. All right. Yeah, so I mean that's gonna happen. Question here is, do they tap for a frog or something? consider. Do they not have a second land is the question. Surely they don't have two 1-mana counter spells. Surely they don't have two 1-mana counter spells. Question is, do I lead on Ritual or do I lead on Ral? They could have Fatal Push too. Open to a lot if we go for it here. I don't think I like going for it. I think I just like playing a seeing what we find off of that. We find junk. Another Impulse and a Ral. And this is not fully junk, but like it's not great. Really, I was looking for a land. Ditching a Bowmasters. Okay, so they are still going to have to deploy a threat at some point here. So that probably is our window whenever they deploy a threat. Is this Frog? Okay. So this could be Force Negation. It's not Force Negation. I like our chances. It is Force Negation. I don't like our chances. Especially given that I can't... I think I just have to go for it here with Rituals. Yeah, I think I do have to just go with Rituals here. I mean, are they going to counter this is the question. They let it go. So I can go for Ral. Here I can go Desperate. On the flip, will I use the ability? No. Not yet. They're going to force this. They don't. Okay, so now I feel actually kind of okay. So we've spent 2 spells so far, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do just get a shot at flipping Ral, kind of no matter what. We have to have this Morphos resolve, but assuming the Morphos resolves. So I'm going to go for the Morphos. So we'll go Tails, lost the flip, make red, green. Okay, Past in Flames is interesting. I'm going to go for these Reckless Impulses, even though Past in Flames, I potentially do get to loop it there. I think it's a little bit too risky into a potential Force Negation. I'd rather try and find a little bit more mana. And then have this Veil of Summer for whatever I'm doing. Like that. That's more mana. So this is, wait, oh, I should have actually Reckless Impulse hold priority. I didn't count. I thought this was spell 4. This is actually spell 5 though. Alright. So now I can Past in Flames with Veil of Summer up, which is what I'm doing. Now there's no, actually, no, maybe it didn't make sense to Reckless Impulse because now I just have the Past in Flames loop defended. So heads, I lost the flip. Got a Pyretic Ritual to cast here, and again, we're just holding up Veil. I'm actually not going to use the ability yet. I want to make a little bit more mana with this. I'm going to go Ren's Resolve, hold priority, Desperate Ritual, hold priority, Desperate Ritual, and try to stack up some mana before we get the flip. Surely one of these 3 will flip. Alright, there we go. So we sort of are maximizing the number of reductions we have. So those 3 we have to pay for. We can just play this Otawara if we want. And our opponent scoops it up, having seen it enough. Alright, so we're going to game number 3 against Blue-Black Murktide. Is there anything I want to switch up here? I think no. I think we're just going to run it back like this. Yeah, I'm just going to run it back like this. 1 Flood Maw maybe could be interesting, but I don't know. This hand is interesting. I'm going to keep it. It looks like a lot of business, but it kind of lets me just repeatedly jam business into counters until something sticks. And then hopefully I will have used my Surveil Lance to find something to do by then. you know, the ritual is nice to have in hand already. Second ritual, also okay. We're surveilling with Commercial District. I will keep a Preordain. That is something that, you know, draws cards, gets us to other cards. Again, I'm just going to be jamming some Ruby Medallions here, see what happens. Yeah, I'm going to just play Mountain. Maybe you have Drowned Lock. Or do you have actual Counterspell? Who knows? You have Spell Snare. Alright, sure. And I'm just trying to get through the counterspells using my creatures, or, you know, my reducers, Ral and Ruby, as discard spells. So next turn, it's probably Tarn, jam another Ruby, and then, you know, try and find something with Preordain. Impulse is not a bad draw. It gives us something that we can do that's a little bit business related. Play another Ruby. No fear. Definitely get a counter. Our spell? Unlock doesn't hit it. Spell Pierce. Okay. So here we're going to fetch a Steam Vents. And we're going to go for a Preordain. This could be a Bowmasters, but I'm okay with that. They only have 3 cards left. Maybe they don't have that much that does anything. This is a clock that they get to play at instant speed, which is a little bit annoying. I think I'll take another one of these impulses. Gives us something that we can do with our mana. Gives, like, with only one, I'd be a little bit concerned at being too light on business. 2 rituals, 2 impulse feels like enough business that we're probably going to win if we get to go off. One is just passing and hitting us with a Bowmasters. Alright. A couple Wooded Foothills. Question is here, do I feel comfortable running the Ral into very likely problems? They have another counterspell, we're kind of toast. It's Force Negation, we're okay. But it feels like actual counterspell here. I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait at least one turn, and the situation doesn't really change. I have a Consider. This does let us also get another Surveil and maybe try to find a Veil of Summer, which would be nice. They're surveilling. And we see a Murktide go to the yard. Interesting. So Watery Grave to 16. They're just holding up mana again. Preordain, okay. What do they do with it? They go top bottom. Then they're playing a frog. Alright, so this is looking suspiciously like a counterspell. We're probably dead next turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're not outright dead. Yeah, okay, we're not actually outright dead. Okay, that's perfect. It's exactly what we wanted to see. Okay, so we go to our turn. We're going to go for Ralph. So we have a chance. They have the counterspell. We've got the Veil of Summer. Pick up another ritual, which is not bad. That's our first instant or sorcery, so we will get at minimum a chance to flip Ral, even if we hit 4 lands with this Reckless Impulse. Pick. Wells, lost the flip. Now, we've played 2 so far, so I'm going to play a third. Tails, lost the flip. And now here, I'm going to go Reckless, Reckless, Desperate. Oh no, I can't hold priority on that. Never mind. Because it's not enough instance. Tails won the flip. Cannot flip yet. We have a Mountain, which we can actually play. We have Ren's Resolve. So we're going to Ren's Resolve, hold priority, Desperate Ritual, getting us to 6 spells. Tails lost the flip. Tails lost the flip. Whatever happened to Tails never fails. Got more impulses. Tails lost the flip. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now it doesn't matter because we're at 6 anyway, so I can just do these one at a time. And in fact, it's better to do these one at a time, so I don't just like accidentally kill myself with too many triggers. Tails won the flip. Okay, so we do have to flip here. Well, we want to flip, but you know. Alright, so we have a Ruby, that's good. We can -8 the Ral. So the Ren's Resolves are in there, Amorphos is in there. Alright, so I'm going to play the Ruby. The game ends. They scoop it up, and we win the match. So a pretty tight game against Murktide. Actually, a pretty tight match overall. So we're 2-0. Let's keep going. Okay, round number 3. We have no lands, so this is going to be a pretty easy mulligan. And our second hand here is a little bit better. I'm going to put back one of these Rals. We do need to find some business, but we do have the Past in Flames. So we're going to be looking at a Surveil land on turn 1, trying to find some business, and then, play a Reducer on 2, and hopefully have found something to do in the meantime there. All right, so opponent is on the play. So that is actually kind of what we prefer with a hand like that, because again, this hand is kind of close, but not that close. Opponent is on Prowess though, so maybe we would actually not prefer that they're on the play anymore. Another Ruby is an awful draw. I think I have a decent, depending on what we see off the Surveil and what we do, and if I think we have a reasonable turn 3, there's a chance that I'm just not going to play the Ruby on turn 2 and instead play the Ral, figuring it might eat removal. Oh, I didn't play my, whoops. Well, that's not what we want. Alright, so I'm gonna get a Mountain here. I am gonna just play a Ruby. So the Slick Shot means that I don't think I have 2 turns, and so I probably just have to win next turn, which means land, Morphos, and hopefully between the Morphos draw and the draw for the turn, we hit something relevant. We weren't really punished that hard for not getting the Surveil, just because we did draw a Manamorphose, which is something we would have definitely kept on top with a Surveil if we had it. Are we just dead this turn? Let me actually calculate this. We're at 13. They've got 8. Bolt represents 5 more damage. Another bolt kills us. Lava Dart also represents 5 damage. We're actually just dead. Oh, man. They've got the speedy turn 3 here. Oh, Lava Dart actually represents 6 damage. All right, yeah, I mean they've got the turn 3 and they were on the play, and so I was definitely not. I mean, usually I'll say with this hand, this is a hand that we would want to be on the draw for. Just again, a couple more shots at finding business, but on against Prowess, no, that doesn't work. So, do we want to board anything in? Brotherhood's End could wipe some creatures. Into the Flood Maw, I mean, maybe they have some sort of hate piece that I'd want to bounce. I think it's reasonable to bring in a couple of them. We could cut like a Glimpse, maybe a Valakut Awakening. And we go like this. Could also bounce just in case they have a hate piece. I'm not really expecting much hate pieces out of them. I'd expect their plan to just be to try and kill us first. But, they have like a I guess maybe like a graveyard hate type thing, you know, Tormod's Crypt. Yeah. So something for that type of situation. How do I feel about this? This is very similar to our last hand. It has, I like it a little bit better on the play. Also, having the Reckless Impulse is not bad, so I am going to keep this. Opponent mulligans to 6. This time I'm not going to forget my Surveil. Again, missing that Surveil definitely didn't lose us the game. We just had no shot anyway. It had to do with whether or not we could have killed on turn 3, and we didn't even get to see our turn 3. Our opponent's got a commercial district. We are going to Surveil. I'll keep a ritual, yeah, that's something we need. Gonna go for a ruby. That's the turn. They had a slightly slower start this time. They didn't have a turn 1 prowess creature, so maybe we are under a little bit less threat of a turn 3 from them. At the moment, I'm thinking that, oh, they do have the Tormod script. Moment, I'm thinking we might need other turn, but let's see what we draw. Reckless Impulse. Okay, that's probably among our better draws. So I'm going to fetch a lot of Mountain, thin a little bit. So I don't actually need to play this Ral yet. I'm going to lead on a Reckless Impulse. See what we find. Desperate Ritual, Shatter Skull, Smashing. So I can Shatter Skull kill this Slick Shot if I need to. I am going to Ritual here to preserve the blue mana for a potential Preordain that we could hit. Hit a Strike It Rich. Not great. So we've cast 3 spells. So this does represent 4, 5, 6. And the question is just the amount of mana. So I'm going to Desperate Ritual. Oh, I should have actually saved that. Yeah, because it's an instant. So 5. I'll go for Strike It Rich. Got Ral. We've got Shatter Skull. I could Shatter Skull for 2, which is what I would like to do here. We've got 2 here on our on Slick Shot. And this is a chance at flipping our Ral. And if it misses, we get to flash back the Strike It Rich. Although actually I should have flashed back the Strike It Rich first. We did win the flip though, so we'll use the ability. We should have actually used the Strike It Rich first due to the threat of the Tormod script. Okay, so they're preserving their Slick Shot. That's fine. Again, I was just using this as a spell. Didn't really, I mean, it cost me the 2 red anyway, and then it was reduced by 2, so it's not like I put mana into this. I'm not going to use the Strike It Rich now because it's, you know, I'd rather have the open mana. Okay, so we hit some good stuff. Cast that for free. Cast this for free. Add some red. Cast another Morphos for free. Add blue, red. Cast some Reckless Impulses. So we've got another Morphos and a Wish. Another Reckless Impulse. Got a Morphos. Go get some red. Preordain. We'll be there in just a second. So we can put this on the bottom and this on the bottom. We do have Flood Maw for the Tormod script, but there's no reason to show it to them at this point. So we just have the win naturally anyway. I actually shouldn't have showed them Preordain even. That was a little bit of a mistake. And they scoop it up because they see the Wish, and then they know we have a Grave Shot. Okay, so again, knowing the crypt is in play, I kind of like maybe cutting a Past in Flames. We could bring in Brotherhood's End to try and be a little bit more reactive. An option. Also bring in like a Glimpse. Be a little bit less graveyard reliant. I think I like that. On the draw, we might be a little bit more interested in bounce as well. The Flood Maw. Yeah, maybe another Flood Maw, stop their big attack, and then try to win on our turn. So maybe I will just leave one Glimpse out. We'll go like this. All right. So it also kind of winning in that way without using the graveyard at all, it kind of gives them a little bit of pause about, hey, we're going to keep this. We have reducers, we have 2 lands, we have some rituals and a wish, so this seems reasonable. It'll be a tapped Shatter Skull on turn 1 probably, and then turn 2 Ral or Ruby. Depending on how aggressive their start is, maybe it's Ral as like a potential blocker, or maybe it's Ruby for the increased safety and the potential for a double reducer later. All right, so they're not playing anything on turn 1 here. Morphos is a good pickup, so we'll play a tapped Shatter Skull. We are not paying 3 life against them, especially when there's no reason to, because we don't have anything we want to play for 1 red mana. Opponent's going to get a Surveil here. This feels like maybe it's just Slick Shot. Oh wait, they went to 6. Okay, so maybe it's like Slick Shot Tormods again or something. They pick up a Mire. And is it... Okay, it's a plotted Slick Shot. We see a Reckless Impulse. So we could go Ritual Morphos Impulse. Where does that leave us? Or, okay, so Ritual Reducer, Ritual 3, Morphos 4. We have 4 mana. Wish would put us down to 2. We could Wish into Relay. We'd have to decide that before we Impulse. Alternately, do I think we're dead from 20 on turn 3 with 4 cards in their hand? I think we are likely not dead from 20 on turn 3 with 4 cards in their hand. Which suggests that maybe we just play Ruby. Stay past. Especially with no other creature in play. Yeah, I think I just like Ruby pass. See what they're up to. If they kill our Ruby, then, I can potentially, do something with Ral. Okay, so they have Mutagenic. So Mutagenic is +4. They've got Lava Dart. So Lava Dart, and they're hitting us for 7. They go to our turn. Okay. Now I think we likely have this. They could have Surgical, so that's one thing we do need to be a little bit mindful of. Pulse. Anamorphose Pyretic Ritual. Perfect. That's 3 spells. This will be 4 spells. Here, I'm going to go Ral, and then we're going to do the play multiple spells in response type of trick. So I'm going to Desperate, Hold Priority, Desperate, and then that is 2 spells. Eventually flip our Ral. Lost the flip. We do need to remember they have Lava Dart, so we are in trouble. I lost the flip again. Okay, sure. We've got Wish, Hold Priority. Well, there's no point in holding priority anymore. We have 6 spells anyway. Actually, I should have held priority for the Morphos because I already have a Ruby in play. We won the flip, so we would like to use Ral's ability. So we have the Wish up, so that's good. Surgical. Okay, they scoop it up. All right, so we get a nice win over Prowess. We have turn 3s as well. And they were on the play this time though, so they didn't have their turn 3 and we had ours. All right, round number 4. So let's keep it up. Okay, so we have a hand that I am pretty happy about. We have some mana, we have a Past in Flames. Our mana draws cards because it's Metamorphose. We have 1 land Preordain, so we're pretty likely to find our second land. So I am definitely going to be keeping this. Opponent leads on Mutavault, Aether Vial. So our opponent is playing what seems to be Merfolk. We go to our turn, and we pick up a Mountain. So if I lead on Scalding Tarn, now I could Preordain here, or I could Surveil. I think I'm going to Surveil and save the Preordain for the combo turn. So I think I'm pretty likely to find another land off of the Surveil. Alternately, I'm probably not playing the Ral during the turn. So we can see what they do with this. They're like passing. So that seems like a Vidalian Hexcatcher. I'm going to top that. Play a Mountain. I think I'm going to play the Preordain here. Strike It Rich is interesting. Wish is also kind of interesting. Strike It Rich gives it away that we're playing combo. But the alternative is what? Like, okay, so if they flash into Hexcatcher, play another creature, go to their turn, untap, or violent another creature, go to their turn, untap, have a 2-drop. I think Wish is gonna not be what we want. I do think we want this Strike It Rich though. And I'm gonna play it. If I find another land, I can potentially like smashing for 2 or something. And if it's not Hexcatcher, I think we're in pretty good shape. But yeah, it is Hexcatcher. Okay. So they didn't have a 1-drop at least, so that's good. This feels like Tishana's Tidebinder, maybe? They're viling in a Lord, I would imagine. Yeah, okay. Okay. Stalun. Okay, so I'm pretty okay with this. I mean, they could have the sack a creature counter, and that would be sort of the worst case outcome for us. This is non-creature, so our Ral is going to end up in play. And they could sack their whole board to counter my rituals, but I'm pretty okay with that. Yeah, I'm gonna play the Ral. I'm gonna play it before I play the Shatter Skull as a land. Oh, they do have Flare. Alright, so now things are looking a little bit worse for us. I'm gonna play this, not pay the life, and pass. Yeah, now things are looking a little bit worse. We could have maybe had that if they didn't have the Flare, but I mean they had the Flare. Flare is good in Merfolk. Merfolk's something I probably will play at some point on this channel. It's like one of the few non-combo decks that I play. It was my first modern deck like a long time ago, back in like 2015 or something, when it was like, Merfolk versus Jund. And, that's interesting. I think I don't like this. It doesn't really do anything to further Merfolk's plans, but it's kind of cool. Pick up a commercial district. So they do have potentially 3 force spikes. They would have to sack a lot of their board for it, though. And Wish. But what am I getting if I do? I think I like just... I need to draw probably a reducer, so it's just play a Morphos and see what happens. Get 2 red. Find a Preordain. Does that let us Preordain looking for the reducer? We have 5 mana beyond that. I think it does, so we'll play a Preordain. Morphos Impulse. I think we can't afford the Impulse right now. The Morphos just gives us an extra card in our yard, so I will take the Morphos. Although, this does let them potentially sack 2 things to counter. But again, if they sack 2 things to counter, I'm relatively happy about that. Looking like we're hitting all of the Metamorphos. I don't know how I counted 5 mana. I just don't have 5 mana. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are dead if we miss. So I'm going to play this Wooded Foothills and fetch just to thin. Red. Yeah, we'll go red. And it's looking like we missed. I mean, I do get to, I guess, Ritual Wish. But that runs into the issue where, okay, I can get a Grape Shot, but this has Ward. And then Sveiloon is, well, so Sveiloon, yeah, so if I had 1 more mana, I can Ritual Wish Grape Shot. But because I don't, I mean, I guess I can Ritual Wish Mind Collapse or Ritual Wish Flood Maw. If I Flood Maw the Sveiloon, I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they Force Spike it with the Mutavault, I can pay once. I mean, it's not good. Do I have a chance of winning the next turn with, like, let's say I draw a bear? I'd have 5 lands. Bear, Past in Flames is not enough. I Mind Collapse, I still have 5 lands, and it's still not enough. I guess if I don't burn the Ritual and I wish Mind Collapse, kill the Hexcatcher, I'd have to pay my token. That doesn't work either. Alright, so I know I can live this turn with Ritual Wish Mind Collapse or Ritual Wish Flood Maw, but I can't win the next turn because Reducer is not good enough and Ritual is not good enough, so I'm just going to pick it up here. Like, none of my... one single top deck is not good enough there. I need multiple cards that I just don't have. So, I like Veil. Beyond that, don't really think I need anything else. I mean, maybe I'll cut an Awakening, I'll cut Glimpses for being a little bit slow. And maybe we cut... well... yeah, and then I think we maybe cut like a Past in Flames. Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, probably a Past in Flames. Try and be a little bit lower to the ground, maybe. They do play Force Negation. They probably also have some sort of graveyard hate. I think just going like this makes sense to me. Flood Maw, I think, is not worth it here. They're not really that loaded up on hate permanents, and I think Veil is what we need more in this matchup. Alright, would we like to play first? Why, yes, we would. This hand is... It's not a hand that I really think can win by like turn 3, turn 4. Maybe, but like a lot of things have to go right. I'm gonna mulligan that. This is a hand that can win. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna ship the Ral. That's the more vulnerable of the cards. And yes, they potentially can counter Ruby, but it's a risk we're gonna take. We're gonna play this Wooded Foothills, and we are going to Preordain, looking for our second land. And we will keep both of these. These are both good. So opponent probably has like Land Vial or something like that. Yeah, there we go. And they're only, I think, about 40% to have Vial because it's a 40. It's the force of, well, it's better than the Force of Will math, actually. I don't know the exact number. I'm gonna play Ruby. If they have Force Negation, they have Force Negation. They're playing more flares than Force Negation these days, so I think it's like 4 flare, 2 force or something. So for most lists that I've seen, so I think I'm pretty just comfortable running Ruby out. If it gets hit there, we probably lose, but we can maybe try with the Rens Resolves. They've got a Mutavault and a Tide Shaper hitting one of our Steam Vents. That's okay. They could have Flare. The nice thing about this is if they Flare, they unlock our other red mana. I'm going to Pyretic Ritual, and we're going to go for it here. Got a Rens Resolve. Veil, more Rens Resolve. Morphos. We'll go red. We just need the red. Rens Resolve again. Pyretic Ritual's pretty good. So that is 4 instants or sorceries, and we have this Ral. So Reckless Impulse would be 5. And then Ral is 6. Or no, well, what we play after Ral is 6. They could have a Subtlety here. They don't. So because... Okay, yeah, I'm going to Wish, Hold Priority, Desperate Ritual, I think. Or do I just Wish? Or do I just Desperate Ritual? I think it doesn't matter. If they had a counter, they would have used it by now. So I don't mind Wish Ritual. Get the extra... Oh, the extra discard doesn't matter anyway. Because if the Ral flips, it's whatever. We will use Ral's ability. Else we would not like to flip. I'm actually not sure what happens if you allow him to flip back. I should look that up. I've always been like nervous to actually just test it in the game. Does he flip back to his creature side? Yeah, I've never actually seen it. There's worlds where that could actually come up. All right, so we will exile our top 8. Got some Pyretic Rituals. The only thing in here that is not free is the Veil of Summer. And they scoop it up. All right, so match is tied 1-1. We are now going to be on the draw. So on the draw, do I like any changes to this? I think probably not. Maybe like I could think about like 1 Flood Maw or something and tempo them a little bit more. I think no. I think we just go like this. This is okay if we find a reducer. It is the hand that can play. It is a hand that can play a slightly longer game, so I will keep it. See if they have a Vial. They have a Relic. Okay, so Relic is good against our Past in Flames. So I don't love that. Go to their turn. Yield till the end step. Actually, we shouldn't, just in case they had a Tide Shaper and we're hitting our Tarn. I guess it wouldn't actually matter. Yeah, I'll exile the Tarn, that's fine. We'll get rid of, or we'll get a Thundering Falls. This gives us some blue mana. We already have the green mana. I'm going to bin a mountain. Leading on the Relic over the Vial is interesting. It slows them down like a full turn, really. Ruby and Impulse. I think these are probably both cards we want, so I'm going to top, play a tapped Stomping Grounds and pass. So now we'd have 2 Ren's Resolves plus these rituals to try and make something happen off this Ruby if we get a window here. They've got a Cavern. You know, like play a Svelune or something. Ditch a mountain. They look like they're passing. So I think I'm not as light. Well, the thing is, hang on. So if this is Hexcatcher or Tidebinder or anything like that, they actually can't counter this Ruby. Well, wait, no. Well, if they sack the Mutavault, I don't remember, is Hexcatcher instant and sorcery, or is it non-creature? I think it's non-creature. Yeah, it's non-creature. So they could, if they used Hexcatcher and Mutavault here. I guess they could have Hexcatcher plus a 1-drop as well. I think this is worth the risk. This is gonna, if they stop this Ruby, it at least 2-for-1s them. Well, Force Negation is another 2-for-1. And we were going to have to go through that anyway, so I maybe shouldn't have tapped the Stomping Grounds, actually. I should have tapped the Thundering Falls, make them think about it a little bit more. Hey, yeah, they get our Preordain. And they're holding up mana. Find a Preordain, so I'm just going to play that. Find a Ral and a Pyretic Ritual. These are both pretty good. I'm going to top. I'm just going to play the Ral here. No, I'm not. I could play the Reckless Impulse. But I think they have Dismember. I think that's reasonably likely. So I'd maybe like to have some spells to play in response with Ral. Yeah, like if I think about what's in their hand, maybe, yeah, this smells like a Dismember. What else do they have in their hand that they're not playing? They could have other counter magic, I guess. They could have Subtlety, I guess. I'm gonna Reckless Impulse. And Morphos Ritual. That's okay. Something I can maybe do something with next turn. Hopefully this is just like Lord. Yeah, Lord's fine. Scatcher? Okay. 1 card left. Interesting what they... If they didn't just draw that Lord, why did they not play the Hexcatcher the previous turn or the Lord the previous turn? Land. Animate Mutavault. So it can't be Subtlety anymore. And they do have a bunch of... I feel like this is Dismember and holding up a Relic. Okay, so what do we do? Well, we lead on Pyretic Ritual. Are they going to counter this? They don't. So now I can play Ral. I have a pile of instants, which is nice. And if I go for this Morphos, yeah, I get to potentially take several shots at flipping him. Putting something in. Tidebinder? Okay, so now I get to respond with more mana. And the question is, do they counter that? Do get the chance to flip him, though. We won the flip. Would I like to flip? Yes, I would. They get to think about if they want to counter this. Sack a Mutavault for it. And then they could sack a Lord. They do that. I mean, are spending a good chunk of their creatures. We do then. Okay, so they are countering that. Tidebinder is happening. Are they going to counter the Morphos? Looking like yes. Interesting, they sacked the Tidebinder. Now here I get to just kill the Hexcatcher. And then they have a 2/2 Lord, and if they don't draw a Lord, Aral lives, and then they're going to be probably dead off of that, although we do have to worry a little bit about this Past in Flames. Let's see what they draw. I think I would have sacked the Lord over the... Well, no, because the Tidebinder still is... Because the Tidebinder would kill the Ral on the crackback here, so I think you have to sack the Lord and hold the Tidebinder, just because it has 3 power. But I mean, they do play a lot of Lords, and they're reasonably likely to draw another Lord. Did they? Why, yes, they did. So now things are looking pretty bad for us. Okay, I mean, Impulse is okay. Strike It Rich is, again, okay. Ruby Medallion is nice to have sitting over there. So we maybe have a chance. If they pick like another Lord up, we're actually still okay, because that would just be 8. In fact, that'd be probably one of the better draws for them to hit from our perspective. Land or like another Lord. Balloon would be fine too, just some sort of do nothing. Subtlety would even be okay. And it was a land. They absolutely should not have played that. It just gives us information that they have nothing. It's not like they need the land for anything. Alright, so we're going to go for the Ruby. They crack the Relic here. Trying to hit a counterspell? That also feels very aggressive. I don't think I agree with that. We've got a couple Desperate Rituals. We can go for a Ren's Resolve here. We hit a Reckless Impulse, which we can also go for. Mountain, Heretic. We can play this Preordain. Morphos and Reckless are both good. I mean, maybe they have something here, but I think it's not likely. They would have probably used it already. We could use, if we use another ruby, yeah, we can play another ruby. And then piff down to 2. Do they have a force here or something? No. Okay. We had the option there of Wish Grapeshot wipe their board if they did have force. All right, and they scoop it up. So we are 4-0 with a nice win over Merfolk here. 5th round in just a second. Okay, so round number 5, we have a hand that has a couple lands, some Preordains to do some setup. I like this. I'm going to keep it. We also have a Strike It Rich here, so we could potentially try to accelerate if we needed to, but I think I'm more likely to just play Preordain. Depending on what our opponent does, I may lean either a little bit heavier on the Preordains or a little bit heavier on Surveil. Our opponent is leading on an Ugin's Labyrinth. Haywire Might. Okay, not a card we really care about all that much. I'm going to go Tarn. I think I'm going to go for the... Well, actually, no. That is a problem if they have Ruby. Or if we have Ruby. I don't know what I'm saying. All right. So Steam Vents, I'm going to go for a Preordain first here. It's possible that we could sort of catch them in a situation where they don't have green mana. I'm going to bottom both of these. Ritual is a decent pickup. It could be anything at this point, so they're not necessarily like super into this idea of a Haywire Might, probably. You know, like they don't know that the game, you know, that green mana might be as important as it might end up being. That's what I'm saying. I said that really weirdly. Okay, they don't have another 7-drop, though. They're going to attack with the Haywire, so we'll take 1 there. They pass. This feels like they have a Thought Knot and they didn't have a second 7-drop to play it on turn 2. Pick up a Pyretic Ritual. So that is kind of interesting. So if it's a Thought Knot, I actually want to keep some sort of reducer or something on the top of my library. I probably want to play Preordain plus Strike It Rich. So I'm going to fetch here. Get a mountain. Unless this could be holding up Kozilek's command, but what are they really going to... I mean, yeah, they can make a dork, but... An exile Preordain, I guess. Preordain again. Kozilek's. Again, they still don't have green mana, so that's... Scries X, then draws a card. Sure, so they're making... Why would they do this before... There's... Unless they think we have some sort of counter magic. But I don't know about that. Okay, so they have Ruby and Steam Vent. So I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to play a Strike It Rich. And I'm expecting to get Thought Knot Seared next turn. But I'm hoping that they're not going to have green mana. And that we're going to peel this Ruby off the top and then hopefully win with it. So that's the idea. And they are under a little bit of pressure as to what they might want to play. Okay, no, so they're just hitting with the Might. No Thought Knot. Interesting. So if we were to play Ruby and then they pop the Might here, we could like Reckless. They probably pop the Might. We Ritual. We'd have 5 mana. Doesn't really lead us anywhere. I think I like the idea of land Ruby Reckless. And then just have a couple things exiled. And maybe do something with it the next turn. And you're going to pop it here? Oh, they didn't pop it here. That feels pretty bold. Now, I could use my treasure token here to Reckless again. How do I feel about that? I think I do like it, actually. Because I'm going to need to hit another reducer here. Now they're cracking it, okay. We don't, but I mean, we still could. Wish is not exactly something that I'm super excited about. Aether Hub. A very timely green source. They've got Stirrings now. I don't love to see that. What can I do with my sideboard? Not a lot. They find a Saga. On the Ring. Okay, so the Ring is not scary. Well, it's not scary in the short term. It is scary in the long term. And our hand is kind of anemic. Find a mountain. We could, like, wish. What are we getting if we wish? Even if we play an untapped land and we can, like, mind collapse their spawn, that feels not worth a land. So we're probably just letting this wish go. The graveyard that. I mean, I can cast it to put it in the yard. I could also maybe just play the Strike It Rich, which I think is probably better. We'll pass here. Need to fade some draws. They very likely drew some stuff with the Ring. We don't really have enough for like a natural, or like a bearless. Saga is fine, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. 3, just 3, 4, 5. What is this? That's totally fine. What? When you discard a card this way, that must just be a pet card. There's no way that's a real card. What is that even? Why? Maybe is that actually played? I don't know if that's actually played. I feel like it's not actually played. All right, we draw Shatterskull Smashing, which is not what we need. Is there anything interesting that we could wish for? Okay, so we have 6 mana, 7, 8. Maybe we can actually bearless. If we go up to 8, if down, ritual, impulse. Try to at least do something. So, okay, so 8, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 8, 4, 6, 4. That does not seem that good. And if I find some other business, maybe. I could also just, like, Piff, Preordain. Or maybe Ritual Piff, Preordain, preserve the treasure token. Try and get some more cards in my hand. Have the Piff in the yard. This will be discarded to the Masticore, so it's like not that scary. How is they're going to draw a pile of cards? If I'm not winning this turn, what am I, like? Alright, I think I need to go for it here. So we're going to Ritual. Yeah, I don't think I can give them another turn. I think it's too likely that they just draw some sort of Haymaker with the Ring. Draw like Karn or whatever. Alright, and then I'm going to go Desperate. Did I play a land this turn? Yes, I did. Okay. I'm going to go Piff. Now I can go Preordain. Don't want either of these. Stomping Grounds is also very bad. And Preordain again, but it's starting to look dicey. I mean, Ral Pyretic is kind of the best we can do. So we have a shot. Put this out. Pyretic. Let that happen. Play Ral. And play Desperate. Now, if they have removal, we do die here. Lost the flip. We Reckless Impulse, and we know we're hitting another ritual. Lost the flip. Hit 2 rituals. Okay. That's pretty good. Cast a ritual. Lost the flip. I'm going to Reckless Impulse Ritual so that they're both discounted. I should have actually Ritual so they're both discounted before, but lost the flip. Fails. Won the flip. Alright, so we will use Ral's ability. Reckless Impulse happens. We have a Preordain and a Ren's Resolve exiled. So we can -8. And so the Pyretic is free. Got a Reckless Impulse that's free. Preordain is not free. That's not free. This is free. Morphos is free? Yeah, the Morphos is free. Go red, blue. Play a Ruby. Play a Pyretic. And play a Preordain that they know about here. Oh, where am I? Oh, here's my cards. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep these. Seems pretty good. Morphos, we get a Ritual. Morpho. Oh, we just have enough mana, so there's no reason to do anything else. We can just play Wish. We can go get the Grape Shot. And their ring protection was from last turn, so we don't need to worry about that. All right, so we started off bearless, and then we found a Ral, and then we managed to get there. So this was a pretty cool game. What happened? All right, so like I said, we got there. So we are up a game in round 5, and we're 4-0 so far. So let's try and make it 5-0. All right, so against E-Tron or Eldrazi, colorless Eldrazi or whatever, I like Flood Maw. Brotherhood's End, I think I'm going to leave in the sideboard as my anti-artifact piece. Things I'm going to cut a Piff. Awakening seems like sort of the easy, like, utility type cut. You can cut a couple Glimpses for being like the worst business spell. And maybe we go like this. One interesting idea about Preordain is, like, I think people are a little too committed to the idea that every card in your Ruby Storm deck has to be red because Ruby reduces red cards, right? But if Preordain costs 1 in a red, people would play Preordain in this deck, I think, right? Scry 2, draw a card for 1 in a red that then becomes red. Yeah, people would play that. So as long as the splash isn't really that harmful, think about it as like an already reduced version of a card you'd play. All right. Yeah, we'll keep this. We have Preordain to find a reducer. We have some Ren's Resolves that we can, cycle if we need to. Ritual, Wish, all good stuff. They lead on Saga, so they're probably going to go get some sort of graveyard hate with this. Now, because I picked up the Scalding Tarn, I think I'm going to lead on that and hold the Odawara for potentially dealing with some sort of hate permanent if I need to. Picking up Flood Maw would be good, but I really do need a reducer. Am I going to need Flood Maw is the question. I think I'm actually going to top, and then next turn plan on playing a Ren's Resolve, and then go like that. And I feel like yeah. It's like I could dig to a reducer, but that's no help if I just lose by the time I have the reducer, right? Interesting thing here is what do they have? Like Soulland Trinisphere maybe? Otherwise, they're really leaning on whatever hate piece they get with this. Okay, Talisman, sure. This is a way to not really fall behind on mana. I'll go Mountain, Ren's Resolve. We hit a Flood Maw, which is, I mean, the land is not bad. The Flood Maw is not the most useful, but, you know, maybe we can make something happen with it. I imagine the searches for Grave Hate feels better than Haywire Might, but maybe they'll get Haywire Might. They got Cookbook. Really? Interesting. So they're just trying to be faster. What are they doing with this? Thought Knot? No? What'd they find with the stirrings? They found... Oh, wait, they discarded it. Okay, so they're Myco spawning us. They only have 4 mana. So it's not actually kicked. They're just ramping. Maybe it's an Emrakul or something? Temple, sure. As long as they're not kicking it there, I feel okay about that. Double land. So I'm not really going to be able to combo here. I think I like getting a Mountain and then going for a Ren's Resolve. We do hit a Ral. We do also hit a Preordain. I'm going to go for the Preordain now and basically try and figure that we hopefully get there next turn. With Piff on top, this Flood Maw is going to go away. I don't want to bounce the Myco spawn. And hopefully we're not dead this turn. And if we're not, then I think we're in okay shape. By dead, I mean like, you know, some sort of haymaker. Because I don't think our life total is going to be 0, but I think it's possible that they have some sort of haymaker that, you know, wipes us. They've got a Stone Brain. Yeah. The question here is going to be, do they... Yeah, so I didn't bring something in. I should have brought something in. That slipped my mind. Yeah, I mean, sure. What are you naming? They'll see my list, but if they get us by naming Wish here, then they name Ral, but this is in the exile. That was like the worst possible name. They don't get to take this one. What? Maybe they just didn't look at it or something. I don't know. Yeah, so they named Ral. I was gonna say if they get us by naming Wish, then they're more likely to name Wish in a game 3 where we will have brought in another win con. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I think maybe our opponent just had like a like a mental brain fart or something. It's like, or they probably just didn't notice the RAL, actually. I think that's what happened. So we won the flip. I don't actually want to flip yet. Well, actually, I should not have done this. Oh no, this is fine. Never mind. This is spell 3. And then we have Wish. Yeah, because it's not actually guaranteed that we get there off this, but all right. They could have Surgical. That'd be a little bit unfortunate. So that's still not enough spells. Now we've got Pyretic, hold priority Pyretic. Now I will flip RAL if given the opportunity. Now I can hold priority in Desperate. Or we just lose the flip. Lose the flip again. We have Ren's Resolve. We can do that. On the flip. Alright, so here we will flip. Ren's Resolve hits on Morphos that I'm not going to cast yet. So everything besides the Morphos is here for free. Got a Ren's. Got another Ren's. Got another Reckless Impulse. Did I... Are these... Oh, did the RAL hit the 2 rubies? I thought one of them came from like a Reckless Impulse. Maybe I'm wrong. Alright, so I'm going to Morphos. Add some red. Got a Desperate Ritual. Got a Pyretic Ritual that we can play out of hand. Got a Preordain that we can go for. Morphos and Wish are both good. Morphos again. What happened there? Did I click red? I don't think I even clicked red. If without paying the mana cost. We're semi going bearless right now. Oh wait, we have it anyway. Okay. So I'm just going to go for I'll flash back the Wish rather than use the one in hand, because why not? And we'll go for a Grape Shot. Alright, we've got a whole bunch of Storm Triggers. I think our opponent must just not have looked at what we had exiled and didn't see that the RAL was there. Unless they have Mindbreak Trap right now. Could have Mindbreak Trap. Pretty sad. Certainly don't want to concede the game. Alright, and we win the game. We pick up a 5-0. Okay, so that league felt pretty good. I mean, I think Preordain was definitely very good. The selection and sort of the sculpting, I think, enabled us to have a wider range of hands turn into wins than otherwise would have, right? So, I mean, Ruby can be faster and a little bit more linear without the Preordain, but the Preordain does just like make you more consistent, right? And I think Ruby's weakness is not necessarily its speed. I mean, speed is certainly its strength, right? But sometimes it can be a little bit inconsistent, I think. Especially when you face this sort of like pressure to go off right away, and everyone's enamored by, oh, I could maybe turn 2 here. But like, if you look at the actual odds, your odds of turn 2ing are not that high in some of those situations. So often you should not go for the turn 2. And Preordain just smooths everything out, and it means that your turn 3s are just a lot more reliable. And even and it's useful in mid combo in a way that Strike It Rich really isn't. I mean, yes, Strike It Rich can be a spell for Ral that is mana neutral, but Preordain on the whole is going to ensure that you have more business or mana, whichever you need, while comboing. And I think Preordain is just good. I'm not even convinced that it has to compete with Strike It Rich necessarily. It's possible that maybe one or two of these Glimps could be Strike It Rich, and maybe they can coexist together in some sort of shell. That being said, I think Preordain is good, and I think Preordain should be in Ruby lists. Again, if you're playing if you were playing a version of Preordain that was 1 in a red, people would play it in this deck, and people would be happy about it. All right, imagine Preordain never exists. There's a 1 in a red sorcery that does what Preordain does. You'd be happy to play that in this deck, right? But as long as the color requirement isn't too big of a deal, and I don't think it is, then you're, doing that anyway. Preordain is so strong that it already has its cost reduction built in. Not everything has to get reduced by Ruby. How did the rest of it go? I mean, Veil, I think, is pretty good. I didn't really mind the double splash. My mana felt okay basically the whole time. Flood Maw, I feel like it didn't really have a moment to shine. I don't think I cast it once the entire game. But I mean, we didn't really face that much hate permanence. We had to deal with counter spells a little bit more. Merfolk, the Blue Black Shadow. So the decks that we played against weren't really the decks that we wanted Flood Maw for, other than Eldrazi at the end, but they didn't really have hate that we needed it for. So I would like to do more testing with that. Not the most representative set of games for Flood Maw. There's a case for Echoing Truth still, even with Flood Maw, because you can hit multiples of a hate piece, but Flood Maw being 1 mana cheaper, I think, is a big deal. And the tap fish obviously doesn't matter. So I think this card is good, and I think it's going to be the real deal for a lot of combo decks who are looking to answer 8 permanents. Now, another potential downside is Chalice of the Void. But against Ruby, your opponent is not playing Chalice of the Void on 1. So especially in Ruby, I think this is just the way to go. The main deck itself, I think, could potentially use some tweaking. And maybe these glimpses aren't actually needed. Like I said, I was always boarding out Malkuth Awakening. I don't know how necessary that is, especially given that with the 4 Preordains, maybe we can get away with playing just the 2 Shatterskull and 16 lands a little bit more. Shatterskull was fine. A lot of this stuff is just core and you can't really cut it. So there's only a few slots to play around with. And whether that's glimpse slots probably are the first ones that could get shifted. Land base felt pretty good, no real complaints. Maybe you could fit in another utility land over a mountain or something, but I don't know. Yeah, until next time, keep storming off, keep winning games with combo decks. I will be back with maybe the Gristlebrand deck next time, or maybe something else first, and then that deck again. That deck is just a blast, and I definitely want to play that again. So until next time, bye everyone.